Today I'm going to be listening to a piece by George Crumb for piano called Eine, Kleine Mitternachtmusik, a little bit of midnight music. Now, the scan is a bit difficult to read. I don't know if the program note is worth getting into. It's pretty huge. We'll see if I can summarize. Okay, so it's an homage to Thelonious Monk's jazz melody Round Midnight, and I guess George Crumb was one of several composers who were commissioned to write a short piece on this topic. He goes on to explain how the quotation works. There's a surrealist parody of Debussy's Gollywog's Cakewalk from Children's Corner at a certain point. There's some literal midnight allusion here where like numerals 1 through 12 are rung in a bell-like manner towards the end, so like a clock striking midnight, and then it sort of uses resources of the extended piano in Crumb's mind, so using all kinds of extended techniques inside the piano for which Crumb is famous for. It's in 9 parts, so nocturnal theme, charade, premonition, cobweb and peace blossom, incantation, gollywog revisited, blues in the night, cadenza with tolling bells, and then the 9th movement is midnight transformation. And I guess it's subtitled Ruminations on Round Midnight by Thelonious Monk. Then we got a bunch of performance notes. Might be worth getting into them. This is the first piano piece we've had with some, so yeah, he goes with the preceding every note with an accidental rather than using a key signature or following the measure rule. And then metronome indications are approximate. Extended techniques include pizzicato playing, muted tones, the production of harmonics, etc. The strings should be clearly marked in some manner, in order to get some of these effects. So pianists prefer to mark only these strings that correspond to the black keys, thereby creating a keyboard inside the piano. I've never thought to do that. In a piece, I've seen pianists mark specific points of strings with like chalk or like those thin, like not post-it notes, but like little tags you can use to mark up books and things. So I guess you would use chalk or something to write out the black keys inside. And the pianist needs a yarn stick, sort of like one you would use for a vibraphone, to play inside the piano. And the performer should distinguish clearly between fingertip playing versus fingernail playing. I guess you need long enough nails to make a audible sound on the keys. All instructions should be followed exactly. Pedal 1, like all pedal instructions, pedal 1 is the right damper, pedal 2 is the middle, and then pedal 3 is the una quarta pedal. And a conventional microphone should be suspended over the bass strings and used for amplification of the piano. When you have to shout the words in movement 8, please project clearly to the audience. And then in which movement is this? In movement 7, you have to clearly produce harmonics with the left hand alone. So I guess just be careful to prepare that. And then we have 2 different symbols for fermatas of 3 and 5 seconds respectively. And this is an interesting notation. Instead of having So when you add one dot to the right side of a note, it extends it by half of its value. But he has this notation here where if you have one dot on either side of the note, it extends the rhythmic duration by a quarter of its value. So you add two dots on either side of a whole note, you get five, like something equal to five quarter notes. Same thing with two dots on either side of a quarter rest. That would be a quarter rest plus 16th rest. And this is what the score looks like. Again, it's very like potato quality scan. I'm just going to be using it to follow along basically as I listen, so it's more like a roadmap anyways. Um, but I'm excited. I haven't listened to any George Crumb since the orchestra series, and um, I was meaning to get into his music when he died recently, but I guess I'm just gonna slowly get to a bunch of his scores um, on this channel instead. Um, Recording is in the video description. I'll see you once I'm done listening. Stick around if you want for my opinions. Okay, so this was an interesting listen. It wasn't exactly what I expected. It was a lot more playful. I mean, it was very dark, but also quotation was like a huge feature of it. And I liked the moment where the performer was shouting these numbers because it, at least experiencing this through a laptop, it made me realize how much louder the amplified piano was than it would have been acoustically. So it was just like a sudden like, oh yeah, this is like um, very loud and much louder than speaking volume. Um, because the qualities of the sounds themselves are very quiet. So I guess I was in a different listening headspace or experience than what it would actually be live. Um, I would say another really enjoyable moment was I forgot that Gollywog's Cakewalk itself was sort of like Debussy was kind of parodying or mocking Wagner because it uses the Tristan chord. And this piece reminded me, in its parody of Gollywog's Cakewalk, the Tristan chord moment is like really funny because it's like, oh, there's this is a parody of a parody. Um, and I don't know what Crumb's mentality is here, if he's kind of mocking Debussy a little bit. Um, but it kind of feels like that. Um, so there is that sort of like mean-spirited kind of sense of humor here and there. Um, and also the opening with the Thelonious Monk quotation is really nice. It shows you this idea of the extended piano where all these different techniques are being used almost simultaneously, sometimes actually simultaneously, and it might be the most concentrated example of that in the whole piece, actually. Um, I don't know if it's a super useful, like technical term outside of Crumb's style. I think it's more like integrated with his style of writing, but um, definitely some way of describing what he's doing here or trying to do with this piece. Also, I forgot to mention that it was written in 2001 in two locations, Media, Pennsylvania, and Laeken, Austria. So I guess he might have been doing a residency while, like, after being commissioned this piece, um, but before the deadline. So yeah, I mean, it's like all Crumb scores, it's very beautiful to look at. Um, and I guess pianists are interested enough in it to perform it. Maybe this would be worth revisiting if you really want to get into Crumb's work. It seems kind of accessible for audiences and not too difficult to play. So, yeah, that's that one. Next on the docket is Next would be 20th Century Music by Lawrence Crane.